It's Tuesday evening and it's 6 p.m. UK time. This is the Spiritual Discussion Program. I'm Saad in Southeast London, and with me, as usual, is Gregory. Gregory, how are you and how is the weather where you are?
Sun is fine. Bright is still bright, but cold.
Okay, thank you for that. Here in London, it is overcast, slightly raining. There's a little drizzle. I don't feel cold, but maybe it might be, let's say, just mild. So, welcome listeners to the Spiritual Discussion Program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the Book of Life. The Book of Life. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can also contact us on the website where we are broadcasting, and that is Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. If you go to the homepage there, you will see a chat box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that chat box as well. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Uprushin, excuse me, is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the readers again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experience of the human being, their sense and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for tonight is the Book of Life. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one more way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you will see a chat box called Bless Chat. You can type in your questions or comments in there. Gregory, as you know, I like to look in the dictionary for the meaning of the words in the topic. So the topic is the Book of Life. So the first key word there is book. And here in the dictionary, I found this meaning of the word book, that is, a written or printed work consisting of pages glued or sewn together along one side and bound in covers. Gregory, it's a very simple picture word definition there, but is it relevant for our discussion for the topic tonight?
It is helpful.
Right. Okay. So we won't explore, say more. Let's. Oh, excuse me. I should have turned that sound off. So apologize for that, listeners. Now, I want to move on to the second word there, Gregory. The key word here. It's life. So that word in the dictionary again, I looked up. I got 2 different word definitions there. The first one, the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. I'm trying to look at this definition. I'll repeat it again. So this is the meaning of the life is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. And I think I'm going to go to the second definition as well, because there's something missing in that one. So the second one, it says the existence of an individual human being or animal. Sorry. So Gregory, could you say something about this definitions?
Sorry, which one are we referring to?
Both, the definition for life, both of them. One is referring, from what I could see, it refers to animals and plants, and the other one says human beings, I think. So that's how it's defining life.
For it has to be restricted to human beings. because one wouldn't consider stones, vegetation, and animals, that it has to be recorded, whatever they have done, if at all. So that's an overreach. What is referred to, taken as a unit, the Book of Life refers to human beings.
Okay, thank you for that. So in our discussion, we'll be talking, when we're referring to life, we'll be thinking of the human beings. Okay, and not any other life form. So that's fine, that's good. So when we say the book of life is the life of human beings, we are referring to. Now, I did a bit of research on this, where this phrase book of life is being mentioned, and they say it is in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It's been referred there, and it says that is a book in which God records or will record the names of every person who is destined for heaven and the world to come. So, Gregory, I'm going to say there's more to say on this matter, so I'm just thinking if I should read that out as well. I'll just repeat this first. So the book of life, it says, is in which God records or will record the names of every person who is destined for heaven and the world to come. How good or accurate is that definition there, Gregory?
Less radio. Less radio.
Definitions have their limitations. So when that expression is used like you just read out, it has its own limitations. However, that limitation only came about because of the perspective that is viewed when many encounter that expression. Again, there are so many assumptions which have been taken for granted. Therefore, some of these things are very confusing for the simple mind.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this picture there and clarification as well. I just want to continue say further about how the book of life has been defined, and then we can just point out things as you are doing, Gregory, through that. As you said, people can make different definitions, and really we need to find what is, let's say, I use the word correct, but let's say it's more, the concept of it must be realized properly, understood properly. Because things are, as we know, some phrases or spiritual words are given as metaphors, and it cannot be taken literally, as sometimes we do to interpret things literally. So let's continue. So if here, this is all from Wikipedia, I have in my research that I found, so I'm going to continue from that. It says, in the Hebrew Bible, the book of life records the people considered righteous before God. To be blotted out of this book signifies death. To be in this book ensures life on the day of judgment. And even before birth, those who will be born are written in this book. So there's quite a bit written there, Gregory, said there. So it appears, let me just repeat that. It says, in the Hebrew Bible, the book of life records those people considered righteous before God. To be blotted out of this book signifies death. Let's explore that first, Gregory. Is that a good way to see this book of life?
That is how they themselves see it.
Right.
All right. when you say the righteous, on what framework, on what basis do they imagine that which is righteous or not righteous?
There's righteous before God. So that is, it's a God is the decider who is righteous.
Well, you see, therein lies the error. In their assumptions, they say righteous before the Almighty. How do they know how the Almighty determines what is righteous from what is not righteous?
Well, if I were to respond, I would say that they are following the Hebrew or Jewish sort of religion or teaching, and so what is they have been taught in that teaching would be told this is righteous and this is righteous or something else is not righteous. So this is what I'm thinking. According to what they have been taught. And they said this teaching is coming from God. So it's like God is teaching that this is righteous and something else is not righteous. So this is, and I could, for example, for the Jews, we could say that they have the 10 Commandments. And maybe that is, let's say, part of the knowing what is righteous. If you do not sin against the 10 Commandments, then you are a righteous person.
Well, you have said for them, they refer to the 10 Commandments. That is fair enough. That is a framework. If that is the case, and when Moses came in and saw what they were doing, he shattered the law. What does that tell us? That even they themselves, who were supposed to be the highest, or who claim to be the highest, or who claim to be wise, they themselves have already written through their activities as evidence that they are not righteous, and therefore they themselves cannot be considered in the book of life. In that case, they would have been eliminated. Therefore, such as they have put forward, it is not tenable, it is not consistent. Much of what they discuss are only in their imagination. For the framework which they think they know, they themselves lack the right understanding for it.
Thanks for your answer there, Gregory. In response to what you were saying, I was thinking, well, they have been given you could say the rules of life, if I can say like that, in the 10 Commandments, but they seem to be not capable or not willing to follow them. And so it's not about that, so what I want to the point I want to make on that one is that it's not it's not about who fulfills it and who doesn't fulfill it, what makes the rules right or wrong. It's just that some people do fulfill and some people do not, and it's more about knowing, or not only knowing because they did know it, but somehow either they don't want to follow it. Maybe that is what is going on. And so if they don't want to follow, then they will be, I could say, erased from the book of life. And if they do follow these rules, then they stay in the name stay or in the book of life. So there's like you said, there's a framework, and you can follow the framework, or you can turn against, just like you can go with the river flow, or you can go against the river flow. So it's like a choice for each person. So what question I would like to make from that is, Gregory, is that there is a book of life, let's say, and man or humanity can say it can follow or not follow, which is a separate, how can I say, field, a separate part of it. I hope I'm being clear. So, do you want to say something in response to that, Gregory?
In putting forward an explanation, one intends to have consistency. That means when you look at the whole explanation, there will not be areas of contradiction. And above all, because the book of life is referred to in this arena, the framework must be that through which all that exists came into being. Therefore, the laws of nature or the laws of creation, which form the basic framework, that is what is referred to. For the book, when considered in a more intuitive sense, is a container. And the pages, which one may refer to as nodes, which shows those human personalities that have, or those human germs that have come into creation, that have come into nature, that have incarnated in order, or those who have come in the world of matter and have been sown into the soil, in quotes, and they had to germinate, grow strong, and are able to yield fruits. Fruits which will keep on the continuous propagation of existence. So you have the book of life, in which there are those who, for the sake of continuity, resonate with these laws of creation, such that they are able to draw strength and mediate the power they themselves have drawn for the benefits of the whole. And there are some who, in their existence, also draw power or draw of strength, but they do not use it for the benefit of the whole. And this power accumulates within them until they are unable to withstand the power within them, and they subsequently will have to disintegrate. Of course, when you have such disintegration, that means they are gone. They have passed judgment on themselves, and they return back as spirit gems as they started. So, in that case, they do not have a name because they were not able to form a leaf or a node or a page within this container. For now, that is how far one wishes to go. With the rest, be it so-called Jewish or Christian or whatever religion it may be, if the teachings in any of these so-called religions, if those teachings do not resonate with the laws through which the human beings or the laws of nature, then those teachings cannot provide a consistent explanation And because they lack a consistent explanation, they cannot be taken as a basis for understanding because there will be holes in their teaching.
Thank you, Gregory, for this picture that you have painted there. Making us to see that there's a framework that we need to start with as a foundation. In fact, you have even went to the beginning of our life, you can say, as spiritual seed germs, in which is not even on earth, it's in heaven, you can say, where we actually started our journey, our life journey. And we didn't have a name, as you mentioned there. So what name can go into this book of life if there's no name there? So, but we did exist. We have come to an existence. So in that sense, we exist. There is a name of that, in that we are actually recorded as being born, you can say. So there, even if the name hasn't been given, because even a baby has no name at the beginning until it's named. So yes, it has a life. So yes, there is a beginning, and you can say there's a journey.
You're in tune to Bless Radio.
As we, journey to start our life, and where we go on this journey, will through the decisions that we make, we would be leading, let's say, into, I'm going to say, upward direction or downward direction. It's not saying too much in that by saying that, but let's say in a beneficial or harmful path we can take. And of course, you can see, if you make a decision doing harm, or if you make a decision to benefit yourself or someone else, you could sort of see already where that path would lead. So, yep, we are building a picture here. So, as we go, things will become even more clear. So, thank you for that, Gregory. And I'm going to read this out again. This time we're reading something for what the Christians follow, which is in the book of Revelations. It says the book of life is mentioned 7 times in the book of Revelation, and it is described as described only those whose names are written in the book of life from the foundation of the world and have not been blotted out by the Lamb and are saved at the last judgment. All others are doomed, and whosoever has not found the written book of life was cast into the lake of fire. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, in which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. So, Gregory, that picture that has been shown in the Revelation, which I've just read out, like this is like a summary story. Does that align with, you could say, the framework you're referring to, the story that the explanation you're giving?
That which has been read out in Revelation, that passage, when considered intuitively or albeit spiritually, that picture, the picture of that scenario, like we've said many a time, every picture is a pointer. So the picture created in that particular scenario points somewhere. It points to the real happening, which that picture describes. Therefore, it had mentioned that in the last judgment, it means there have been other judgments going on. So one must take one as a fact. But in that last judgment, it is by their works. So the works which are mentioned are basically works in deeds, works in thoughts, and works in one's intuition. These are the three categories, the three types, which are considered. If, subsequently, these works have been consistent with the laws of creation, with the laws of nature, then, and only then, will that person who originated these works through the power granted to it, the power that has streamed out from the source of all power, the human personality granted the free will to make use of it in order to mature. If these works, the three categories one has mentioned, are consistent and resonate with these laws of creation, which laws of creation are expressions of the will of the Almighty, then that person's activities are written in the book of life as having walked aright in accordance with these laws. Else, fire was mentioned, and what fire does is to disintegrate. Therefore, those who are unable to make it in their works, in all naturalness, will have to disintegrate to the initial elements or the initial substances. That is the case.
Thank you, Gregory, for that picture there again. What I see here is that there's ways of expressing a concept, you know. In here, we're talking about the Book of Life, for example, and so when somebody speaks these words, which you could say are metaphorical words in the Bible, the picture is given. It doesn't mean it's necessarily, it gives a good picture, you can say, but not always it means literally that's how it is, but it gives a very good picture for our comprehension, actually. So then we can really see, yes, as you mentioned, this is the last judgment. We are talking the book of life is being opened, you can say, during the last judgment, which means you don't have, we really need to, let's say, live aright by this time. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. I mean, they're always serious in a way, but this one is like your last chance to get things right. So there's a warning there to prepare yourself. So thank you for that. Now, I want to move on to the Quran now, which also mentions the Book of Life, or the concept of the Book of Life. So I'm going to read some quotes here from the Quran. I think that's the best way to explore it. And it says, this one is, and beware of a day in which you will be brought back to Allah. Then every soul shall be recompensed fully for what it has earned, and they will not be wronged. This is in Surah 2, verse 281. Another quote I have is, on that day, people will come forward in separate groups to be shown their deeds. Whoever has done an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever has done an atom's weight of evil will see that. This is in Surah 99, verse 6 to 8. And we shall set up just scales on the day of resurrection, and no soul shall be wronged in the least, even if it be the weight of a mustard seed. We shall produce it, and we suffice as reckoners. As Surah 21, verse 47. And this is in brackets, at the final judgment, close brackets, the record of brackets deeds, close brackets, will be placed open, and you will see the criminals fearful of that within it, and they will say, oh, woe to us, what is this book that leaves nothing small or great except that it has enumerated it? And they will find what they present before them, and your Lord does injustice to no one. That's Surah 18, verse 49. So Gregory, here in the Quran, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else we want to say. We are seeing some verses there describing the event of the book, the judgment, you can say, or Judgment Day, as it's put there, which is, we know is also referring to the Book of Life, how the Book of Life, let's say the events of the Book of Life are presented here. So it's all very similar, Gregory, isn't it? The story, all the three faiths here, the Jewish, Christian, and the Islamic faiths, giving this similar pictures in terms of representing this event of the judgment, the last judgment, and the Book of Life. Anything you'd like to add to this at all, Gregory?
Well, if they all got their picture from the same place, then it's not surprising.
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you, Gregory. I've got more things to say or ask. Before I do that, I just want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. Apologies, I'm getting some background messages, so apologize for the sound. Yes, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message, by Uprushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we are discussing tonight is the Book of Life. The Book of Life. If you wish to ask any questions or have any comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, the number 1.com. If you go onto the homepage and scroll down, you'll see a chat box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that chat box. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube the next day. Go to youtube.com and then type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the Book of Life. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, you know, when if I hadn't heard of the name Book of Life before, I would have thought of the word just by, let's say, I'm going to say neutral person or ignorant person, maybe is a better word. I would just say, oh, it's a book of life, maybe book of knowledge. Or you could say, well, it's just life, right? So maybe it's a story, a book of like a story of our life. However, that's not what we've been discussing up to now. It's from the spiritual books that we have referred to. It's clearly not to do with that. It's to do with our, you could say, activities, our life activities, whether it's good or bad activity, and the consequence of it. And this, it's more about our life, whether it continues, let's say in a conscious life, or no more, not continue or destroyed, as you could say, as a conscious being. So this is quite a big, serious, let's say, situation in that. So you can fully understand why these teachings are, how can I say, continuously warning about how important this book of life is, about what it is. And what I was wondering, Gregory, so it's to do with our life activities. Now, Gregory, everybody, you can say, has done good deeds and bad deeds. So I'm wondering, on this day of the judgment, of the last judgment, are all the good and bad deeds weighed, you can say, like say scale, and then if your good deeds outweigh the bad deeds, is that how you sort of, if I can say, pass the test? Or what is the, let's say, the correct understanding of this event of the, this judgment, last judgment? How does it um, yeah, how does it actually, what actually happens in it?
Thanks. You yourself referred to good deeds and bad deeds, but it was only a statement without a framework, and therein lies the errors. That which is good in accordance with the will of the Almighty, or that which is not good in accordance with the will of the Almighty. Therefore, when one considers these activities, how they resonate, there have been the stress that these activities, when they resonate in accordance with the will of the Almighty, they draw in powers, which powers allow them who have participated in these activities to mediate to others, such that others will also benefit. If, however, the human personalities partake in drawing from these powers and do not mediate it to others for their benefit, then that is not in accordance with the will of the Almighty. And therefore, one will find that there will be an accumulation of these powers, of these energies, which subsequently, in the final judgment, will set the person involved alight. And that leads to disintegration. So, when one considers the activities of men from that direction, then it's already a foregone conclusion that the human personalities, through his or her activities, judges itself. It is not that, someone sits down like a judge and starts saying, you have done good, this one has done that. No, that never happened. It is the human personality who subsequently will realize that which it needed to do and subsequently say, it didn't do it for one flimsy reason or the other. But shortly before he himself or herself writes itself out from the book of life, that means from becoming a node, a leaf, or a page in the book of life, he or she will, within a short while, recognize its failures. And the opportunities to make amends are too late. For very simply, consider the case where that which is good, for example, say someone who has talents for music, and that person composes music and mediates it to others, which help them to overcome everyday obstacles because they are filled with joy. He didn't give them material food, only music. Music which their ears were able to perceive, and filled with joy, were able to overcome their personal challenges, were able to become more resilient, were able to become patient. So one can see the effect of music. Just an example. Such a personality in his or her activities has fulfilled. Now, you may take other people, say in the case of medicine, where a doctor or a nurse or whoever it is strives to fulfill their activities loyally because they have the interests of others at heart. So these things have to be looked at in context, not something standing out there meaningless, because people are unable to relate what is termed as good and what is termed as not good. Because there are some who in their calculations, already have planned so many things. That which is good, which resonates not only in their deeds, which deeds are perceptible to others, but also in their thoughts, which thoughts are not perceptible to others, and above all, that which is good with regards to their personal intuition. These are the three categories which each personality must reckon with. So, before long, those who have had the fortune of good willing to ensure that just as he himself or herself has challenges, he himself or herself realizes others have challenges. Just as he himself struggles to ensure he comes to a better understanding on how to deal with these challenges, he also recognizes that others have to do the same. And in that scenario, it is best to share experiences, to support one another, because for goodness sake, these are human spirits who have different skills, different talents. The man or the person who is a musician is not the same person who is the farmer. It's not the same person who is the athlete. It's not the same person who is the engineer. It's not the same person who has to work in delivering mail here and there. Different people. It is how you yourself, how you accomplish the tasks which lies before you, which tasks is to ensure the continuity of mankind, the task which help to ensure that not only you benefit, but others benefit. That is the key. That they benefit in accordance with this will, such that they will find their way through and become self-conscious. So it becomes so very clear, and it's not tied to the dense limitations or to the interpretations that has been plagued by so many barriers, because many in the religious circles have relied only on that which they are able to perceive with their five senses. So things are more dynamic, are more alive than many have thought in the past.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this explanation about the good and bad deeds, because if we were to really, how can I say, go into these, what is a good deed and what is a bad deed, you could be here forever arguing with one set of people saying, oh, this is a good deed and that is a bad one, and then another set of people who is supposedly following it, well, let's say maybe a different teaching, also claiming to have it from God Almighty, but then differing with the first set of people. And then there will be third set and fourth set as well. And before you know it, there'll be no agreement about anything. And you know, or let's say very minimal agreement. And then you're wondering what is the right way, or which is the good deed, which is the bad deed. And you know, and you could say you could torture yourself just thinking in this, you know, or getting bound up in this type of, I don't know, argument, discussion, however you want to put it, understanding, to try to find the answer. Even it might feel like hopeless to get an answer. But what you're saying, Gregory, is there has to be like a natural approach, a sensing from within, intuitive sensing of, yes, this is morally, you could say morally, I could use that word morally, this is right or not right, you know, more dynamic, as you were mentioning there. Dynamic, it should not mean we are changing the goalposts. It means you apply it in the right context, in the right, you know, right context, basically. So you take a big picture before you jump in and say, no, this is wrong. It's like forever wrong. This detail must be always wrong. But it may be wrong in, let's say, many cases, but it may be like one, in quotes, exceptional case that will not be, that understanding would not be correct. So it's a living process. You know, as I say, never say never, because one day that never may be the way that you need to go. And that's not because you want to break the rules, it's because that is the way that it has to be. So thank you for that, Gregory. Now, I'm thinking, you mentioned there, Gregory, about thoughts as well. So the deeds, we know there are physical deeds, that there are actions, you can say, which we can see. And there's also our thoughts. And I think you mentioned maybe intuition as well there. So this is also deeds, but they are invisible. And I'm wondering, okay, let's look at it one thing at a time, as they say. So Gregory, are physical deeds more, how can I say, I use the word punished or rewarded more than the thoughts that we have? So we could have a good thought or a bad thought, but is that given a lesser, are you going to say again the word punishment or reward than a physical deed?
Who does the punishment?
Good question, a good point. I was going to say again the Almighty, because He's the judge. So the laws are His laws. And so I'm guessing that is how the process is. Or his, yeah, go on.
Point of correction. The Almighty is not the judge. It is the will of the Almighty that is the judge. This will has been expressed, or this will manifests as the laws of nature or the laws of creation. Above all, they may also be called the divine laws in creation, which creation laws are in nature. With that picture, it becomes very clear that these laws, which laws have been expressed as that of reciprocal activity, which may also be expressed as that of the attraction of homogeneity of similar types coming together, and also that which permits one to be higher than the other depending on the lightness of an activity. That sometimes is called as the law of gravitation or spiritual gravitation. These three laws position the individual in his activities at that place where he or she belongs, such that when the reciprocal activity arrives, they, in accosting the individual, depending on how he or she responds, he or she judges himself. So the concept of the judgment is self-consistent and consistent with the laws of nature, not that of an arbitrary personality who only perceives the physical deeds which are perceptible to the individual. The laws of creation themselves being dynamic presents to the individual that which he or she has initiated, that is the threats which he or she has initiated, and above all, the final opportunity to be or not to be. Therein lies the decision of a free will. Take the very simple example. Here, at the time of before Easter, there were two thieves on the cross, such as you had when Christ was also on the cross. He who was murdered for doing nothing wrong, which shows the arbitrary nature of men. You don't have to do anything wrong before you are found guilty. For keeping silent, you can be guilty. For speaking out, you can be guilty. So, whichever way, that is for men. But consider these two thieves. One who accepted that who spoke to Christ? I can see. You haven't done anything wrong, yet you are being crucified. That was a big step. But we accept we have done something wrong. That is an acceptance. At that moment, he was able to plead, for he then must have recognized intuitively, this man must be different. And he said, please do not forget me when you are up there. He must have come to some recognition. Christ replied him. There was this other one who, through insults, Christ did not say anything to him. Now consider that scenario where which those thieves had initiated falls back to them, one admitting he had done wrong, the other not admitting. And yet, Christ, in his being, made a statement, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. That speaks volumes. For many, a personality, be it so-called Christians or so-called Jewish or so-called Islamic, whatever the human spirit say, wherever they care to belong, they should take note of these dynamic activities. So it is not that in their personal rigidity that an arbitrary judge can come in and make arbitrary pronouncement. That is not creation. For creation is dynamic. And the simple example just shows that things are dynamic till the last second.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. And again, examples you've given there. I want to discuss a bit more on these points in a moment. And before I do that, I want to let the listeners know you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Uprushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the Book of Life. The Book of Life. If you have any questions or comments on this topic, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And you can also contact us through another way, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, which is blessradio1, the number one.com. If you scroll down the homepage, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that box. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number one.com, and you can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number one again, space live stream. That's for our live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to us, you can get the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box, Bless Radio 1, the number one again, space, Grail message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the Book of Life. And of course, you can listen to the recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. Again, the number one there. Now, Gregory, you mentioned about Jesus being on the cross and you talked to sort of, you could say, in a way, he communicated to both thieves, even if the one of the thieves didn't actually say any words. But what I wanted to say there's something that Jesus said at the end, when he was on the cross, which is to say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Now, what I was wondering there, Gregory, that we know that there are these laws of creation or laws of nature. For example, when you do an action, or there will be, in quotes, a reaction or a response. And we know that, as Jesus mentioned before, law of sowing and reaping, or in the Grail message we are told it is given as the law of reciprocal action. So there is a law there. And let's just keep it to that one law for now. So, Gregory, now we're talking about the judgment, the last judgment even. And I'm wondering, when Jesus spoke this word of forgiveness for certain people, so can people, Gregory, when we have reached at the point of this last judgment, can there still be a forgiveness, or it is too late? We just have to sort of accept the, the fruit of what we have sown at the judgment time, when the judgment falls on us. Is that so? Is there any forgiveness at all at this point? You would say last minute step. I think you were saying that you mentioned already that the creation is dynamic, and at any time, this dynamism can become active. So, is it possible at the last minute to be forgiven somehow?
The question, who does the forgiving, the personal forgiving?
Well,
at the last minute,
yes,
it was the errors, it was the pain inflicted on his personality that he pleaded that should be forgiven. He himself pleaded for the forgiveness. On a personal note, if many a person has bound himself through his activities and comes to a recognition, depending on the rapidity of his recognition, depending on the aliveness of his recognition, that personality is then able to proceed in order to make up for that which he himself or herself has done. If, however, that person does not come to a recognition, then that person is still bound by the reciprocal activities that are due. So, when you have the scenario which you yourself are referring to, there are two cases. Case one is the recognition by the person who has done or who has initiated that which bound himself or herself. And the other case is the person who has suffered under it. The person who has suffered has the right, within his or her free will, to forgive, such that the reciprocal activity that will return sooner or later, that can be mitigated. So these things are dynamic, and depending on who is the sufferer or who is the culprit, depending on their personal recognition, this goes a long way. And that is why it is said it is blessed to forgive. And in some of the scriptures, it has been stressed that vengeance is mine, not of human beings. Why? Because the human personality cannot overlook most of these things, doesn't even know why, and therefore goes on to commit terrible errors. But the laws of creation, which laws are a manifestation of the divine will, which operate in creation and also in nature, these laws are aware and will return to each person who initiated these things in the same proportion or even greater than what they themselves had sown or initiated. For those who do not or who cannot see the global picture, or who are not unable to see the overall picture, the tendency is always there to make errors in their haste for revenge. So the warning has been placed there to ensure the human personality does not proceed in annoyance to bind itself subsequently.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. As you can see, there is what you've said, dynamic system where, it's not like fixed. Your fate is fixed in one way or the other, or just because you're coming close to the end time, you could say, and you're not maybe trapped, you could say, by this time. But actually, it's all about your inner attitude and recognition. You mentioned there, Gregory, which can determine your fate. And this forgiveness, you also pointed out, who is the one forgiving? Is it the one who's been trespassed against, or is it the one who has committed the sort of sin, asking for forgiveness? So there were, let's say, a number of factors to be considered in these matters, which, as you pointed out, the laws can weigh each one situation, very, very minutely. So then you can be sure of the justice of of whatever fate that before comes out of it. It's a perfect system, basically, and that is not in our hands. What I mean by that is not in our hands is that we do the sowing, but the reaping comes from the laws. So that is where the justice can be ensured, you can say, not our human arbitrary thinking or judging. That is not what's going to bring the reaping. So yes, thank you for that answer there, Gregory, and the picture you've given us. Now, I'm thinking, Gregory, I definitely understand this framework of, can I say, the laws working there, weighing our deeds, what we have done. But what about people with beliefs, different beliefs, and some, let's say, of no belief, especially, let's say, with regards to the Almighty? Some people have a faith and then they have belief in the Almighty. Some people do not have any faith and have no belief in the Almighty. I'm wondering if there's any impact of that faith or lack of faith in how our deeds are dealt with, you can say, by the laws of this nature and the laws of creation. How is there some, I can say, I was going to use the word prejudice, but that's not what I mean really. Is there some how can I say, effect of having a belief or not having a belief in the Almighty in regards to how the justice is given to human beings?
The laws of creation, or better said, the divine laws in creation, which also permeate nature, takes into cognizance the individual, the activities of the individuals, the activities in the deeds which are perceptible, whether the person has, in quotes, religious faith or not religious faith. These divine laws also have an impact on this personality. The same thing goes that these divine laws have an impact to the thoughts of this personality, and also the intuitions of the personality, whether the personality has faith or no faith. Because these laws These manifestations of these laws are invariant. They have an impact on all alike. It is the individual, how they respond to creation activities that counts. So you find some people, in accordance with, in quotes, their faith, they respond one way. Others that have no faith, in accordance with or in comparison to those people who have faith, they respond in another way. Some, in their thoughts, say they have recognized the Almighty. Of course, in their thoughts, sometimes in their imaginations. For very clearly, by their works, they reveal themselves, whether they have recognized the source of all power or not. So it is by their works, not by their faith. By their works, because there are the gross material or the deeds which are perceptible, recognizable in their species. By their works, in their thoughts. Most of the time, the so-called religion is in their thoughts. Whether their thoughts resonate with the laws through which they themselves came into creation, they are not sure, and they have not made any further investigation. By their works also refers to the intuitions of men, the threads which they have woven in their intuitions, the threads which they have woven with their thoughts, and the threads which they have woven in their deeds. Whoever has faith, let them use their faith in the right recognition. That is what counts. And not just hold it in their imagination. For when the challenges now come, how do they stand? How do they react to these challenges? That is what counts.
Thank you, Gregory, again for giving us let's say good understanding about these matters of belief or faith or non-belief. As you say, it's about the deeds. By their works ye shall know them, as we are told. So this is how we are going to be judged, or if the and reap our rewards. So thank you for that. Now, Gregory, I have some more questions, but before I do that, I want to say, just to remind the listeners, you are listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Updrushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, then you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, that's GRAIL, message, MESSAGE.com. The topic of our show tonight is the Book of Life. The Book of Life. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. There is one other way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, the number 1.com. If you go to the homepage there and scroll down, you will see a chat box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments in that chat box, and then we can respond to that. And as I mentioned, we are broadcasting on blessradio1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1 there, space live stream. That's for the live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the Book of Life. And of course, you can listen to our recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. That's the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, another aspect I would like to consider now. You know, yes, we live on the earth and we do have thoughts and, do physical deeds and so on. However, let's say being spiritual beings, we know that the earthly death is not the end. We can go into the beyond after the death. And I was wondering, do we do any deeds in that world, in the beyond? And, so if so, how is basically, is there any sort of judgment taking place in that world? Or is it only when we return to the earth? How does it work there? Let me just consider that first. Does something happen to us, Gregory, when we pass on? Can we still do deeds and thoughts there? And are there consequences for such activity there?
Like had been mentioned, creation is dynamic, not static. And the contents in creation, of which the human personality is one, is also dynamic. It's not static, sitting somewhere to do nothing. Therefore, it is engaged in one activity or the other. It doesn't mean it has to be the same activity as you have here on earth. So one should not be expecting to have special breakfast every morning and then go out to play sports and go out to fight with other people. That's, of course, is not the case, because here on earth, the physical body requires food, physical food, which keeps the body of flesh and blood to remain active. Therefore, when that body of flesh and blood here on earth, of biological flesh and blood, is absent, then we do not require that which is of the earthly, which requires the flesh and the blood. We and I know it. Therefore, the inner core, which is that which animates the covers, that inner core which is of spirit, engages in further activities. Simple example, you go to bed or are asleep, sometimes you see yourself engaging in activities in different places, maybe singing, maybe music with others, maybe assisting other people. Yet, the body is in the bed sleeping. But there is a loosening between the soul of which the core is spirit. That loosening permits the soul to wander from one place to another. That's a quite simple example. So, at waking up, the soul is then bound tightly again with the body. In the occasion in which there is a severance, the soul then moves away and continues in other activities. If the activities it's engaged with are of benefit to all others, then in accordance with these laws, that soul will come to better recognition, final recognition, and will ascend. Because it will become lighter due to its vigorous activities, its vigorous dynamic activities in mediating to others of the goodness it's able to recognize. Therefore, it is drawn higher and higher. If, however, it decides, due to ignorance or the intuition that has bound it, which has become evil, it decides to go to cause confusion and drag others down, and comes closer to the earth to, one way or the other, to influence, inflame, such that there will be destruction. Of course, it has to come very close to the earth for such activities, and may even sink deeper. Therefore, you find that creation being dynamic, the human personality in it being dynamic, Dynamic in the sense it makes decisions here and also there. Therefore, it will reap also in making a decision, which decision will allow it to sink deeper or to rise. So there is also a judgment, subsequent judgment, as he rises higher or sinks deeper.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this. Again, the picture you've given in regards to the activity in the beyond. Life continues, as they say. So how can we expect something to come to an end in another world? So it doesn't make sense if you think properly. And in following on with that, Gregory, there is this conception or I don't know if I can call it principle of reincarnation. So there, some people would think, oh, I did something in my first life or this life, and then there's a consequence of that. And if that consequence doesn't hit me in my current life, it would hit me in the next life. So as we were talking about the beyond, so there could be some possibility of reaction in the beyond, but if it doesn't happen there, it would happen when I come back on the next time on the earth. So now I'm wondering there, Gregory, because with this discussion being about the Book of Life, we're talking about the last judgment. So it seems that there's a limit to how many times one can reincarnate and sort of, you could say, redeem or grow. The opportunity to redeem and grow cannot be limitless. So I'm wondering, okay, so let me bring the question a bit differently now, Gregory. So why is there a, can I call it a deadline to be sort of for the judgment? Why is there a final judgment? Let me ask like that. If there's a reincarnation which gives a constant opportunity to grow and redeem, if we are allowed to do that, then I would say potentially all the human beings could, how can I say, achieve their potential or, become mature, let me say that way. But if there is the last judgment, then that means some will not succeed in that process. So why is that there's such a limit? I use the word deadline, but why is that limit there of the last judgment rather than continuous reincarnation to allow the human being to to become fully mature, and clean himself or purify himself?
The concept of the last judgment must be understood aright. The world of matter into which the human personality incarnated is temporal. That means it comes into existence, it grows, matures, becomes ripe, becomes overripe, and therefore will have to undergo disintegration. That resonates with the laws of creation, of a reciprocal activity. That is a peculiarity with the world of matter. The human personality that is seeking to become self-conscious descended into this world of matter in order to grow, become conscious, and subsequently becomes self-conscious, so as to move away before disintegration sets in the world of matter. If during its stay in the world of matter, into which disintegration will come subsequently, because the world of matter is becoming overripe, if the human personality binds itself so closely to the world of matter that is unable to extricate itself and to set off towards its roots, the paradise of man, as a self-conscious human personality, the tendency remains, therefore, that in the disintegration of the world of matter, because it is so highly connected with it, it is unable to sever itself in accordance with the will of the Almighty, which manifests as the laws of nature. And in that case, the impact of this disintegration, the impact disintegration has on the human personality that has so chained itself will be such that it is unable to withstand the sufferings that has accrued due to its inner attitude, considering the world of matter as its own and does not wish to go back. That being the case, the consciousness it has achieved will have to scatter, because with the disintegration and it being holding on to the world of matter, it will have to disintegrate. It will disintegrate to the primeval substance, the primeval gem that it started. It started as a primeval spirit gem. It now goes back as a primeval spirit gem. It means that all the efforts, all the opportunities granted it for it to become self-conscious in accordance with the divine will, it was unable to make use of it. So, all that is not in accordance with the will of the Almighty, the caricatures which the human personality has developed in itself, these caricatures are then crushed. Not because there's any partiality, but it, the human spirit gem that came to mature, had wasted its time. Therefore, one cannot say that the human personality was not permitted to make amends. There is a time limit, and those things it has done that had violated the will of the Almighty, the redemption is only possible here in the world of matter. And this world of matter has to go through disintegration and to subsequently to reconstitute anew with fresh powers coming in. And therefore, the human personality has itself to blame and cannot say, oh, one should be given another infinite million years to mature. That maturity is only possible, that experience is possible here in the world of matter. That is how it is. That is how it resonates. Before that happens, that human personality has been granted aeons of time. But what has it made of it? To be or not to be spiritually has always been in the decisions, in the efforts that the human personality decides to make. That it does not wish to be is his own wish, not the wish, not the will of the Almighty that granted it the opportunity to become a useful node in creation, in being able to absorb of this power and to mediate of this power to others. So, unless one is able to see the picture, the global, the overall picture, which is all embracing, errors are likely to abound. So, the time has come where the human personality or the spirit gem that has come into the world of matter to awake in spirit, because it is of spirit.
Thank you so much for this answer there, Gregory. I know we're coming to the end of the show. I have one more question, and I hope it can be fitted in the time remaining. This is a question about, let's say some people think or believe that our life is predestined, meaning that God already knows what is going to happen in our life from beginning to end. Now, because they say God is all-knowing. So is that really so there, Gregory? Is that such a thing as predestined in this way?
Again, all-knowing. How do many view it? Predestined. How do many view it? For it is how the conception, how they picture it, that either opens the path or closes the path for further investigation. In the discussion, the stress has always been that things are dynamic. They should consider. So those who make such statements Is it that the Lord Almighty, who granted the personalities the opportunity to experience, already know they are going to fail, already know they are going to make such statements, and allow them to make such statements and punishes them? Is that the case? That means what they refer to as predestination is their inability to be mobile enough that to know that they themselves are free to make decisions.
No, sorry, Gregory. Somehow we've lost your voice there. Are you still able, are you talking? Hello, Gregory, can you hear me? Oh, somehow I think we've lost Gregory. I can see him there, but it's not. We're not hearing him.
Yeah, I think okay.
You're back.
It's back now.
You're back. I can hear every word now. Before you
okay.
So please just go back a couple, let's say 10 seconds or before.
What one was stressing is that the human personality has a free will to make decisions. Therefore, people are free to think the way they like, to carry out their deeds in accordance to their own personal free will. But what they don't have control over is once they have made a decision, the consequences of those decisions, they have to live through it. That means the returns must come back to them. It is these returns which some sense that make them say, oh, we are predestined. Predestined in the sense that having made a decision, there will be a reciprocal activity. That's the human personality cannot escape. For it is a law in creation that once one has turned the lever in creation, the reciprocal activity must return to the person. So it's a case of sowing and reaping. There is no one who will sow that which resonates. There's no one who sows gladness, who subsequently will reap ungladness. So it is their lack of understanding that make many say we are predestined. All right, we have no free will. They have the free will to say what they like, to think what they like, to decide which way to go, but the consequences of making that decision, they cannot escape.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for that picture that you gave. I like the new word you invented, ungladness. Thank you for that. So, dear listeners, we've come to the end of the show tonight. I'd like to read from the Grail message the foreword, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudice, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth. And the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdrushin. So dear listeners, I hope you have enjoyed the show tonight on the topic of the Book of Life. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing listeners a beautiful week and a beautiful month ahead.
Thank you. Same from me, listeners. Have a beautiful week. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with another topic. I wish you a great week. Good night. God bless.